We all knew the day was coming, but honestly, seeing the cold reality of it playing out on our screens is going to completely break us. Next week on EastEnders, between Monday the 27th and Thursday the 30th of April, we are saying a final heartbreaking goodbye to an absolute Walford legend in Nigel Bates. But the ripples of his tragic passing are bringing back a massive ghost from the past. Grant Mitchell is stepping foot back in E20, and if you think this is going to be a happy family reunion, you haven't been paying attention. The sheer panic in Mark's voice is what sets this whole tragedy in motion. Mark Fowler Jr., and isn't it brilliant seeing Grant's boy back in the thick of things, leaves a frantic, terrified voicemail for his dad. He's not just ringing for a quick catch-up or a chat about the weather. Nigel is fading fast at the care home, but that's only half the crisis. Mark is properly terrified for Phil. We all know Phil has been teetering on the edge for months, pushing everyone away and battling his own inner demons. But seeing it through Mark's eyes makes it suddenly very real and incredibly urgent. Grant drops absolutely everything. The moment Ross Kemp steps back onto that square, the entire atmosphere of the show shifts. It always does, doesn't it? But the Mitchell reunion we're getting isn't a warm hug over a pint in the Vic. It's incredibly tense, raw, and ugly. We haven't seen Phil and Grant breathe the same air since they laid their beloved mum Peggy to rest a whole decade ago, and the bad blood certainly hasn't washed away. Phil, in his typical stubborn fashion, decides attack is the best form of defense. He drags Sam into the firing line, sits everyone down, and essentially tells his own flesh and blood they are dead to him. He chucks Mark and Sam out onto the pavement without a second thought. It's classic Phil, isolating himself when he's drowning in his own head. Poor Sam is absolutely beside herself, standing on the street and completely convinced that only Grant has the muscle, both emotional and physical, to pull their brother back from the brink. Phil is spiraling fast, and his coping mechanism is complete avoidance. He's totally avoided visiting Nigel at the care home because he just cannot face the reality of losing his best mate. He's convinced himself that Julie and the Bates clan are better off without him lumbering around, causing misery. Instead of facing the music, Phil goes on a wild goose chase, looking for some special relic from Nigel's past. It's a distraction technique, anything to avoid dealing with the present moment. Grant, naturally, goes tearing after him. The whole thing culminates in a massive, blazing row on a windswept beach. It's going to be iconic television. Picture it. Two battered, bruised brothers screaming at each other over the crashing waves, desperately trying to process a mountain of grief they simply cannot articulate. I reckon this is going to be masterclass acting from Steve McFadden and Ross Kemp. Will Grant finally knock some sense into him, or will Phil's stubbornness cost him his final goodbye? The suspense is almost unbearable for us watching at home. Speaking of ticking clocks, we really need to prepare ourselves for the care home scenes. Have your tissues ready, mate, because Nigel's final days are going to be an incredibly tough watch. The rapid deterioration of Nigel Bates has been handled with such sensitivity by the writers over the past few months, but seeing him finally lose his battle with young onset dementia and pneumonia is just gut-wrenching for those of us who remember his cheeky smile and his brilliant heart from the classic years. Grant walks into that care home room and is physically floored. He had no idea it had gotten this bad. The absolute betrayal he feels toward Phil for keeping him in the dark is palpable. You can see the anger and the sorrow fighting for dominance on his face. Julie Bates makes the agonizing decision to stop Nigel's treatment. She just wants him comfortable at the end, surrounded by love and peace. It's the kind of impossible, shattering choice no wife should ever have to make, and Karen Henthorne is going to play it beautifully. Billy Mitchell, bless him, tries to step up and play peacemaker. He is desperately trying to get Phil to see sense before the inevitable happens, but Phil is completely AWOL. Then comes the moment that will truly shatter us. Grant is sitting vigil, holding his old mate's hand, when Nigel unexpectedly wakes up. A brief, fleeting moment of clarity. He asks for that special item, the very thing Phil is out there frantically trying to find. This sends Grant into a complete frenzy to track his brother down. It's absolute chaos. Mark and Billy turn up at number 55 looking for a miracle, only to find the place completely deserted. Grant finally catches up with Phil on the beach, but right at that exact second, Julie's name flashes up on the phone. Time is up. Nigel doesn't have long left. The frantic dash back to the care home feels like a proper EastEnders race against fate. They hit obstacle after obstacle en route, and every single delay feels like a physical punch to the stomach. Back at the home, the residents and Julie are gathering around the bed, saying their tearful goodbyes to a truly wonderful man. And then, just by the absolute skin of his teeth, Phil bursts through the door. Nigel holds on just long enough to see his oldest friend one last time, and then, very sadly, he's gone. The fallout is immediate and devastating. Phil completely shatters. I'm predicting a really poignant scene between Grant and Linda Carter shortly after, where they finally talk openly about how fragile Phil really is underneath all that tough guy bluster. The community pulling together to celebrate Nigel's life will be a beautiful touch, a proper Walford send-off. But the hole he leaves behind mind, massive. Honestly, watching this emotional roller coaster unfold is going to take it out of us all. If you want a place to vent and process all this drama every single week, make sure you hit that subscribe button for episode Whisper 2.0. We are in for a rough ride together. From one incredibly heavy storyline to another, we need to talk about Ravi Gulati. The producers are not pulling any punches this year, are they? We've watched Ravi spiral down to an absolute rock bottom over the last few weeks. The self-harm, the terrifying paranoia that led him to basically lock Priya, Avani and Nugget inside their flat. It was uncomfortable, chilling television. Aaron Thiara has been playing completely out of his skin, showing us a broken man entirely losing his grip on reality. Next week, we finally get some much-needed medical clarity. Ravi is currently staying in a mental health unit, getting the professional intervention he so desperately needed before he did something irreversible. The practitioners there observe him, consult with him, and finally give him a diagnosis: complex PTSD. This isn't a quick fix, and the show is making that abundantly clear. They are drawing up a long-term therapy plan. I think this is a really smart, sensitive move by the writers. Ravi has been a villain, a manipulator, and a cold-blooded killer, but he's also a deeply traumatized man, carrying a lifetime of baggage from the toxic Panesar family dynamic. Putting a medical label on his suffering doesn't excuse the awful things he's done, but it explains the erratic, terrifying behavior we've seen lately. The big question for the fans now is, how do Priya and the kids move forward from this? Can they ever feel truly safe around him again, even with a therapy plan securely in place? My theory is Priya will struggle massively with the guilt of wanting to run a mile while he's vulnerable, but her primary instinct has to be protecting Avani and Nugget. It's a proper moral maze, and it's going to test their family unit to the absolute limit, right? Let's switch gears from the tears to pure, scandalous soap gossip. Max Branning and Cindy Beale. Blimey, you couldn't make it up, could you? Two of the most manipulative, self-serving, undeniably charismatic characters on the square are officially circling each other. We are on a serious countdown to January next year. That massive flash-forward wedding reveal. And the rumor mill is spinning completely out of control. Could Cindy really be the mystery bride walking down the aisle to Max? Next week, Max decides to be bold and actually asks Cindy out on a proper date. In typical Cindy fashion, she plays it cool and says yes, fully intending to stand him up. She thrives on the power trip, always has done since the days of Wixie and Ian. But then, she spots Max having a perfectly innocent, friendly chat with Linda Carter. That green-eyed monster rears its head instantly. Cindy absolutely cannot stand the thought of another woman holding Max's attention, so out of pure, unadulterated spite and jealousy, she actually turns up for the date. It's toxic, it's messy, it's brilliant classic EastEnders. They agree to keep the whole sordid affair under wraps because the fallout would be nuclear. The Beales and the Brannings have enough awful history to fill a library, and this would set fire to the lot of it, but they get sloppy. Lauren almost walks right in on them. Imagine the sheer horror of Lauren catching her dad with Ian Beale's wife. Absolute nightmare. But this close call actually has the opposite effect you'd expect. Instead of backing off and seeing sense, the adrenaline kicks in, and they decide they are going to go public when the moment is right. The sheer arrogance of it is astounding. How do you think Ian is going to react? My money is on a classic red-faced Beale meltdown right in the middle of the Vic, complete with thrown drinks and shouting. It is going to be spectacular. Finally, a bit of proper East End joy to finish the week off because we are going to need a breather. The community is pulling out all the stops for Big Mo Harris. Pictures for next week show an emotional Slater gathering because she's turning 90. Well, supposedly. If you've been watching as long as I have, you might be scratching your head right now. Didn't we celebrate Mo's birthday back in February? I swear we did. But listen, amid the absolute chaos of Jasmine Fisher's trial recently, the Slaters have been through the ringer. Maybe Mo just let the real milestone date slide under the radar. Or maybe, and this is far more likely, she's just milking the community for a second party, free booze, and a fresh batch of presents. That is classic Big Mo behavior right there. You have to respect the hustle. Jasmine Fisher has apparently orchestrated the whole surprise, which is a lovely touch. Mo walks into the pub to find it absolutely decked out in banners and balloons, and the spoilers show her wrapping her arms around Jasmine in a really touching, genuine moment. It's lovely to see the Slaters smiling again. After all the heavy drama with Nigel, Phil, and Ravi, a good old-fashioned knees up in the Queen Vic is exactly what the viewers and the characters need to decompress. I just hope Mo hasn't roped Fat Elvis into supplying dodgy knocked-off caviar for the buffet, or half the square will be fighting over the toilets the next morning. What a massive, exhausting week ahead on the square. Honestly, I'm dreading saying goodbye to Nigel, but what do you all think? Will Phil ever forgive himself for not being there sooner? And are you actually buying Max and Cindy as a proper, serious couple, or is it just a massive disaster waiting to happen? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. I love reading them. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Episode Whisper 2.0 for all your weekly Walford updates, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe, mates.